Welcome to Talking Technology with NCBI Labs, where we believe that technology is the single greatest enabler for people with sight loss and all disabilities. If you are interested in the latest technology news, products, and innovations, then you've come to the right place.
Hello and welcome to Talking Technology from NCBI Labs. It is our gaming special, episode 30. Can you believe we're already in our 30s? But even if you're in your 30s, well, it's never too late to game. We have a show packed to the rafters of all sorts of gaming. We'll be looking at gaming on all different platforms, from mobile gaming to PC gaming, console gaming, even smart speaker gaming. We'll be looking at it all over the next little while here on Talking Technology. So welcome in. Hope you're ready to enjoy the show, have some fun with us. If you want to interact with the show, of course, you can do that as always. You can use the Q&A panel if you're joining us live here on Microsoft Teams, or maybe you're catching up later on. You can always email labs@ncbi.ie and tell us your information, and who knows, we might include it either in this show or in a future show. So welcome in. Welcome to Talking Technology. Let's get this gaming show on the road. Gaming is an absolutely huge industry, and there are so many different types of games out there. And as I said, we're going to take a look at games on all different platforms today. And the first thing we're going to do is take a look at PC gaming. Now, PC gaming is games that you play on your computer, so your laptop, and there are all different types of PC games out there. Now, earlier this week, I caught up with Patrick Hennessy, and he was telling me all about some of the really cool games that are out there and some of the gaming platforms that are out there. So let's get this show on the road with a quick look at PC gaming. Many years ago at an NCBI summer camp, I was lucky enough to have my first experience with PC gaming. I remember playing a simple little audio game called Finger Panic and a cool Who Wants to Be a Millionaire game that was played using JAWS. But PC gaming has come a long way since then, and someone who's been keeping up with the PC world a little bit better than me is Patrick Hennessy, originally from Waterford, but now in the UK. Patrick, how are you?
That's right. Thanks for having me on, David. I'm absolutely fine, thank you, and I hope you're well yourself.
Thank you. So, Patrick, PC gaming. I had experience with PC gaming, I guess, when it was a more simpler time. There was a handful of audio games and games that were accessible to people with visual impairments. But I suppose, first of all, what kind of games are out there now, really, for people with sight loss? Is it a big community? What's it all like for visually impaired players now?
Well, I'll tell you something, David. There are plenty of options nowadays. You know, we're really fortunate in terms of the PC world. You've got so many audio games, which I think are kind of, hot in the last few years in terms of they're kind of trending and the people are playing them. So it's really, really great to see what developers are doing in terms of innovation in the gaming world. It's really interesting to see. You've got audio games, you've got text-based games. And I suppose, well, we'll get on to this later, but I suppose in the middle then you've kind of got a mix of the two in sort of multiplayer social platforms as well. So you've really got something to suit everyone when it comes to PC gaming at this stage.
So you're a JAWS user. Are there games that are available across screen readers? And does the screen reader you're using matter? Or are these games generally available across different screen readers like JAWS, like NVDA?
Oh no, absolutely. So the games that I play at least are all cross screen reader, and even if you didn't happen to have a screen reader for one reason or another, they can be self-voicing as well. But in terms of other games, audio games and such, some will have screen reader accessibility and the rest will be self-voicing in some other way, if you know what I mean.
Okay, interesting. And you get these games nowadays on the internet, I'm assuming. I remember getting games on CD here years ago, but
Azabat Software.
I guess you get them on the...
Does anyone have memories of those?
I know. Yeah, good old Azabat Software. But you get these games online, I assume, nowadays.
Absolutely. There are some fantastic resources if you're someone sort of maybe who isn't sure where to turn, or I shouldn't even say that because it's still where I turn when I'm kind of, it's really for seasoned gamers and newbies alike, is audiogames.net. And it's not as kind of as the name suggests, it's got all types of games for those with visual impairments, whether you're on PC, whether you're on Mac, whether you're on iOS. It's an amazing resource. And really all the accessible games you'll ever need are published up there, and really simple layout and a great site as well.
Awesome. And so you mentioned then like the social kind of games and stuff. Is there a major visually impaired community behind this?
Oh gosh, there certainly is. Yeah, there's a big community behind it. I know that some sites have 20,000 members. I think I saw recently for one of them, and it's a huge community. And obviously, you see, I suppose, things like Team Talk servers and stuff created on the back of those. So I suppose that's people bringing their communication onto the next level, and that sort of thing. So yeah, definitely.
And friendships and stuff can come out of this, can't they?
I've seen friendships. I remember a good few years ago. I can't. I don't recall what platform it was, but I do remember a good few years ago a marriage coming out of them, which was pretty iconic. So yeah, it's definitely created many different connections with different people. So it really excellent. And I suppose we've seen with the COVID pandemic how much you can do virtually and stuff. But I think when you look at blind gaming and sort of the connections that have come out of that, it sort of predates all that. But it's been sort of very similar, I suppose, in the last few years that we've noticed it go mainstream, that sort of way.
That's awesome. So I guess let's take a look at some of the stuff that you would use. So you're going to give us a look around RS Games. What is RS Games, first of all?
So RS Games is as one of these social multiplayer gaming platforms, which has dice, card, and board games. Basically, is its selling point there. And as I say, it's very social. They've just introduced chat rooms as well, although you can chat while playing games with other players and also private message people as well. So some great features. I'll do a bit of a demo there if you wouldn't mind, David. I'm just going to show
absolutely,
show people
yeah,
sort of the how it works. So I'll demonstrate, I suppose, just the user interface as you open it first. I'm using JAWS as David rightly said earlier, and I'm using Windows 10 on this machine here. Right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to my start menu and we will open up RS Games.
Search box edit. RS Games Client tab. Press enter. Welcome to the RS Games Client version 2.2. RS Games Client no game. Please select an option.
Log in.
Enter.
So I press enter here.
Welcome to RS Games. Please follow an RS.
Alright, so it just runs through its social media pages and stuff there.
Monopoly.
So we'll enter that.
Okay, so Monopoly is one of the games, which is cool.
So yeah, let's go for Monopoly. We'll just do a quick demo. So new game. So let's press enter here.
Please select the board to use. American Atlantic City board.
So we could go through all the boards there and
cancel.
So it's just the American and British.
Is there an Irish board out of curiosity?
There unfortunately is not at this moment in time. It's just the American and British at the moment. But I think a lot of Irish players would be familiar with the British board at this stage.
British London board.
Sure.
We'll go with the British board for now.
Would you like this game to be private? Yes. No.
We don't need to do that.
Enter.
So.
Game created.
Right. Let's add a bot and just do a quick roll just for the laugh.
You have added bot Karine. Enter. The game is starting. Choose a token. Ball.
So what you can do here is when you roll the dice, for those who are familiar with Monopoly, I won't go into too much detail, but when you've rolled the dice, it'll make whatever sound you like to indicate that it's rolled.
Balloon. Busy
so let's
signal.
pick
Camera. Busy signal.
Let's pick busy signal.
Enter. You have chosen the busy signal. Karine has chosen the elephant. Would you like quick movement? If you say yes here, each token sound will only be heard once as each player moves. If not, each token sound will
so
yes.
We'll go with that.
Enter. You have selected quick movement. Each token sound. Would you like money on free parking? Yes, enter. You, the game master, have decided that there will be money on free parking. It is your turn.
Right. We'll just do it very quickly. And by the way,
So something I noticed there as well is you do have the ability to play with bots, even though it is quite a social game by nature. So you can play online or you can play on your own.
well, no. It's all online, regardless of whether you have bots or not. But yes, you have the option of playing with bots. But just I suppose it's good if we'll say, they'll release a new game on occasion, or if you just want to practice, or if you just can't find anyone to play with. Basically, it's a nice way of just getting a game in there. So I'll just do one roll to show you the soundscape, if nothing else.
Roll dice. Enter. You roll 1, 6. You move 7 spaces. You land on chance. You draw a chance card. Agreed. Take a walk on Mayfair. Advance token to Mayfair. You move 32 spaces. You land on Mayfair. It is a blue property and costs £400. You currently have £1,500. Wanted? Yes.
To show you the sound of buying it.
Enter. You buy a blue property Mayfair for...
So there you go. So that's
You buy the light blue property.
that's the bot taking its turn. So there you go. That's the soundscape anyway. That's sort of what so the sounds are pretty good in it. You can kind of hear the...
So can you check now where, do you have the ability to see, for example, how much money other players have, or do you have things like that ability? Or
you
how
do,
can
yes.
you check your money and stuff like that?
Yeah, so there are different keystrokes for each feature. So you can mortgage a property, you can check how much money you have. I believe in this version you can check how much money other players have as well. So all of that is there. It's all available in keystrokes on some other platforms. You can also access it via kind of the context menu, if you know what I mean. But on this one, it's I think it's more or less just keystrokes. Also important to mention, that these gaming platforms do stress, sort of equality and letting blind and sighted players play together. But now on this particular platform, that is certainly possible, but sighted players will have to use the web client. The Windows client the Windows client does not have screen access, so it's literally a blank screen on the Windows client.
So it's totally non-visual on the Windows side.
Yes,
on
that's
the Windows
right.
client.
I also believe there is an iOS app, or there certainly was, at some stage, but I'm not quite certain whether it's still in existence. It was kind of done in partnership with Blindfold Games, but I'm not sure if it's still there.
Oh, wow. Okay, interesting. So we've had a look there at Monopoly. Are there other games like that on the RS Games platform? How many kind of games do these have?
Oh, there certainly are. I'd say there's 15 or 16 at this stage. I haven't counted them, but there's certainly quite a few. There's other dice games, like a game called Farkle, which is kind of very much a dice rolling game for the most part. You've got Uno, which is, if you're familiar with the kind of popular card game, is a good game. It's kind of like, or some people call it Crazy Eights. It's a nice, kind of a nice game with to play. It's kind of strategic a little bit. You've got a few others. You've got quite a few others actually. You've got Scrabble came on recently.
Oh, cool.
So that's pretty cool. You've also got I remember during Hanukkah one year they released Dreidel, if you're familiar with that gameplay during Hanukkah. Which was a really interesting release, I thought, and something.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So there's plenty of games there. There's about 15 or 16, I'd say, in total. So it's really great, to be honest. It's a great platform. For some people, if you're familiar with it, it also has Pig and, Threes and 1424, which people will be familiar with from certain, apps on iOS and stuff as well, if you play play on other gaming platforms, I should say.
Awesome. So, Patrick, I guess to wrap up, that's RS Games and that's one you use, but where would you like to see PC gaming go in the future, and where do you think it will go?
Where do I think it will go? I think that we're moving in the sort of direction where what people are really loving at the moment, from what I can tell, are multiplayer audio games that also have kind of social elements. So I can see that all being enhanced, I should say. I can see I can see advanced sort of voice chat features being added. I can see audio games partnering, the gaming side with, their own sort of maybe Discord-like platform, if you know where I'm coming from, or server sort of thing. That's sort of where I see it all going. RS Games does have a voice chat feature. It's not used by players regularly, but it is a great feature. I should have mentioned that earlier. But as well as text chat, yes, you can voice chat on RS Games on the PC, I should say. But yeah, so I think we are moving in a very positive direction, and obviously, there are games on other platforms. I think the PC, maybe especially kind of by younger players, could end up kind of forgotten about, and I can understand why that is. It's not, I suppose it's not the hub for
the cool
younger,
and flashy.
Yeah, it's not the hub for younger people as much anymore, but it's certainly there's an option if people are into it.
Awesome. Well, it's good to know that you're enjoying some games anyway, Patrick, and hopefully it does continue to move in a direction that is healthy for the industry. And it's so cool to see that there are so many players. I never realized the true scale of it, which is really cool to see, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it is fantastic to see it moving forward and people innovating in the way they're doing. And I think what's fantastic, David, is that in the mainstream world, it's now cool to kind of be in that audio game development space, from what I can tell. And you see video game developers going, I want to see what I can do with sound. I want to see what I can do if I cut that visual element out of it. And it's great to see that people are finding that, should we say cool, I suppose,
Yeah, and long may it continue.
Absolutely.
Well, Patrick, thank you so much for joining me on Talking Technology today. And who knows, hopefully we might catch up in a few months' time to see what developments there have been in the audio gaming world, because it's a world that's always changing. So thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me, David.
It's a fascinating world, isn't it? That world of PC gaming. I must admit, I've never played RS games, but who knows? I'll have to try it out. I will have to certainly avoid Monopoly, though. Our family can be a bit too competitive, I would say, at Monopoly. It almost definitely leads to a fight every Christmas. So I think I'll be leaving the Monopoly alone, but who knows? I might try out some of those other games on RS Games. Those details for that website that Patrick was mentioning, that's audiogames.net. Is the game website where you can check out some of those audio games, and also games for people with sight loss in general. It's not just audio games, as Patrick said, it has all sorts of games. And that specific game client, that was RS Games. So you can Google that too if you want more information. So really cool PC gaming, but not everybody has a PC. And a whole other area of gaming is the world of mobile gaming. Now, this is an area that I am a bit more familiar with. I remember playing all sorts of mobile games, like Dice World was a massive one that I played going back quite a long time ago, a very voiceover accessible game. But one of the ones that I'm going to show you in this podcast is a cool little game called Timecrest. And Timecrest is a story-based game where it's kind of like a choose-your-own-adventure game. But the really cool part is it is insanely voiceover accessible. So let's take a look at the world of mobile gaming with a quick look at a cool little game called Timecrest. Mobile gaming is a huge industry. There are literally millions of apps out there, but unfortunately, not all of those apps are accessible. But one that is, though, is Timecrest. Now, Timecrest is a really accessible choose-your-own-adventure game that you can play using VoiceOver. It's a game that I have sunk many hours, countless hours in, and a game that I really enjoyed. So it's a game I'm going to show you. It's really cool. So I've installed it here on the phone, and let's open it up and see how it works. Let me show you around. So I'm going to tap Timecrest.
Timecrest.
And double tap.
Timecrest alert. Timecrest would like to send you notification. Allow.
Okay.
Alert. Timecrest would like allow. But allow.
And
Button.
we'll allow those notifications.
Timecrest. Welcome. VoiceOver user.
Why, thank you. That's really cool. Welcome, VoiceOver user. So it's now going to give me some really cool instructions about how the app works.
Timecrest was designed to be 100% accessible using VoiceOver. At the top left of most game screens, there is a descriptive help button that you can use to get descriptions of how to use each screen in VoiceOver. There are special VoiceOver settings available in the settings dialog. You can find the settings dialog button in the bottom right of the main screen, where you can adjust settings applicable only to VoiceOver users. Timecrest has a pronunciation mode. When pronunciation mode is enabled, the spellings of text will be changed to improve VoiceOver's pronunciation. Disable it if you prefer to learn the correct spellings of words or if you are using a braille display. Do you wish to start with pronunciation mode on or off? You can always change this setting later in the settings menu.
Now that is pretty cool. A whole pronunciation mode just for VoiceOver users. They have literally rewritten a whole story to provide accurate pronunciations for VoiceOver users. It's quite incredible. Now, I actually prefer not to use the pronunciation mode just because I'm used to it that way. But know that that feature is there, and yeah, it's really cool. So that is the start, just the first sign of how accessible this app is. So I'm going to select that I don't want pronunciation mode for now.
Pronunciation mode off. Button.
And double
Top
tap.
menu back. Messages.
Okay, so basically what I'm in now is like a message screen. It's like a chat window. And I'm chatting with someone from another world, a magical world. This person's name is Ash, and we don't know much about Ash, actually. We don't know Ash's gender. We don't know anything about them. So you can imagine Ash as whoever you want Ash to be. So you could say whether Ash is a masculine or feminine name to you. That can define, for example, the experience you have with the story. Something that's really cool and something you don't get from a lot of writing. And this is a really well-written story. So let's continue through this chat. It's told effectively through text messages that you can interact with.
I can sense a connection now.
Now, you'll notice that as soon as I moved my voiceover cursor there, we got music. That's because the music tracks the voiceover cursor. It's a little thing, but I'm telling you, it's kind of amazing that, you know, you go to a screen where it's like you have entered a fight and the music changes in time with voiceover. It's the little things, but it's so cool. All right, let's continue.
Yes, I've connected to the most powerful mage from the human world. Only you can save us now. Listen, I live in another world called Alinsha. My world is ending. Meteors will obliterate everything soon, and the only thing that can stop them is your magic. Please help us. System message, Ash is waiting.
So, you control the game by responding through these messages. So you're given options at the end of every thread with how you'd like to respond. So, Ash is waiting.
Hello? Who is this? You have the wrong person. I don't have any powers. Descriptive help. You have the wrong person.
So, I'm going to go back up
Hello?
to
Who is this?
hello, who is this?
1 of 2 respond. Hello? Who is this? 1 of 2 respond. Responded. Hello? Who is this? I know you don't know me. Ellipsis. A meteor is coming straight for me. Ellipsis. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. My name is Ash and I believe in you. System message, Ash is waiting. Turn back time. The response shimmers green, indicating magical power. 1 of 1 responses.
So, there is only one response. Let's turn back time.
Turn back time. The response shimmers green, indicating magical power. Responded. Turn back time. What's this? My body. I thought a meteor hit me. How am I? This has to be. Ellipsis. You. Yes, I knew you could use time magic. Descriptive help. Button. What's this?
So,
My body is
when
freezing.
I'm going faster than the messages there, so that gives me an opportunity to talk a little bit about how the messages system works. Every time you hear that little bing, There we go. That is a sign that a message has come in. A new text message has come in. So Ash is typing in the chat constantly, and new messages come in bit by bit. Now, I was out running the messages there, and that little do-do sound there, that's to indicate that options have appeared. Now, I was out running the chat there for a second, but it's important to note that you can have it in fast mode. And what fast mode does is it basically does what it says on the tin. It makes the messages come in really fast. So if you're a voiceover user, it just means that you're not going to constantly flick out of the chat kind of window. Okay, so I've been brought to chapter 1.
My name is Ash Eldon.
And there you heard again that the music changed with the voiceover cursor.
I am 16 years old. Woohoo, the first 2 questions are easy enough. So now I need to check the box next to the type of mage I am. The available boxes are fire, water, wind, earth, lightning, illusion, light, and dark. I celebrated too early. Oh no, the registration form is also asking what spells I have. Should I just put, no spells yet, but working really hard on it, thank you? I can't be the only one walking around Timecrest Guild without a spell yet, ellipsis, right? Descriptive help, but pocket watch, descriptive help, button.
So I'm out running the messages again. I don't have fast mode enabled here.
Pocket watch, button.
So you can explore different sections of the app while we're here.
Music player, but memory oracle, but notices, button, shop, button.
So there's loads of
memory,
options
music,
and tabs at the
watch,
bottom. Let's
button.
just go back to the chat though.
So now I need to check the box next to the type. I celebrated too early. Oh no. The registration form is also asking what spells I have. Should I? I can't be the only one. Ugh. How? I'm going to get expelled. So much for wanting to help people with my magic. What if I never learn a spell? What if I'm broken? A mage who can't learn spells is no mage at all. Ellipsis. Useless. Ellipsis. And how am I ever going to connect to the human world if I can't even learn simple spells? I really wish, ellipsis, I could talk to you. A powerful mage like you must have all the answers. It's strange. Even though I've never met you, it already feels like you're, ellipsis, very special to me. Spewing my thoughts to my watch has always made me feel better. I sure can't wait for the day I'm not just talking to myself though. System message, Ash is waiting. Hello. 1 of 4 responses. I don't have all the answers, but we can figure things out together. 2 of 4 response. How do you know I'm a powerful mage? 3 of, you do seem pretty useless. 4 of 4 responses. Button.
So let's just say hello.
Hello. 1 of 4 responses. Messages. A monochrome. I responded. Hello. What is this? My pocket watch is glowing blue. It's never done this before. The watch face is fading away and being replaced with a spinning circle of dust. No. Ellipsis. Way. Am I getting a message? Wah. 3 exclamation marks. Glyphs are forming on what used to be the watch face. Come on little dust. Please keep spinning and show me a message. Descriptive help. But, if this works, then this apple courtyard will be my favorite spot at Timecrest Guild. If this works, then, the glyphs say, hello. Wah. 3 exclamation marks. It's working. 3 exclamation marks.
And you can hear the sound of the environment there as well. It's being dimmed slightly because of voiceover, but you can hear there, Ash mentioned an apple garden, so you can hear that environment.
I can't believe it. This is so exciting. Hello, hello. This is magic, that you and I can speak. I'm so enchanted by the pale blue glow my pocket watch has taken on. Okay, the apple courtyard is officially my favorite place in Timecrest Guild now. Oh, I'm blabbing, sorry. I'm just so used to blabbing at the watch. Okay, where should I start? I should probably start with my name. Hi, I'm Ash. And I'm really happy to meet you. I've had this pocket watch my whole life. I felt an immense swell of magic, ellipsis. And all of a sudden, I knew my watch could connect to a powerful mage from the human world. Which is surprising in 2 ways. Vertical scroll bar, 5 pages. I've had this pocket watch my whole life. I felt an immense swell of magic,
here,
ellipsis.
you're getting the idea, right? So I'm not going to spoil the whole story here. Not that I possibly could. This story it goes on for hours. You can spend literal days at this. You know, I've done it before. It's a brilliant story. Fantastic, fun app. And yeah, I'd really recommend it. It plays out in real time. So there are points where, you know, you could send Ash into a battle, for example. And then you have to wait for an hour or whatever to open up the app again to find out how things have gone. That's just kind of one of the things that the app does to make it feel more real. And you can also play the app on your Apple Watch. So in effect, you can be a bit like Ash. Ash is using her pocket watch, so you can use your Apple Watch, which is kind of cool. So really awesome little app. I'm not going to go into too much detail about it because it is free, so I'd encourage you to check it out for yourself. It is an absolutely brilliant app. The voiceover accessibility is brilliant. The soundtrack is brilliant. The just overall design is fantastic. There are 3 episodes now, over 40,000 words, I believe, which is crazy, especially when you consider that they rewrote sections of it to create a pronunciation mode. It's quite an incredible piece of work, and it's being another season of it is being written at the moment, I believe. So a really cool app. If you haven't used it before, it's called Timecrest, and I'd highly recommend it. And it's just one of many mobile games out there. This app uses voiceover, obviously, but there are games using different techniques to make their apps accessible. So you can check out other games on our YouTube channel too. I did a walkthrough of some other games that might be of interest to you. So this is just one look at a mobile game, but there are so many mobile games out there. So do let us know what games you play, and who knows, maybe we'll take a look at more games like this in the future. And there you have it. It's a really cool game, one that I really enjoyed. Now, I did get one fact slightly wrong there, that I thought the game had 40,000 words, but it actually has 640,000 words. So it's got enough content to fill about 10 novels. So if you have some time to spare, it's really well worth going through. I think I played it over a school holiday a number of years ago, and really enjoyed it. Fantastic accessibility, fantastic writing, and yeah, an absolutely brilliant game, and especially a brilliant game that is freely available, which is really cool because it's not often that you see games with that level of quality available for free, which is awesome. So that is Timecrest, and it is available on the App Store. An awesome little game and well worth checking out. It's one of it's one of many games that are available, and as I mentioned, we will soon have more demos of games and accessible games over on our YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel already, just search for NCBI Labs. It's got all sorts of technology content, gaming and otherwise. It has we've recently published some fantastic videos that Daniel did on Power Toys. We've also got some great tech reviews coming up, so go check that out and be sure to subscribe for all the latest content from the NCBI Labs technology team. Now, from mobile gaming to the world of console gaming. Console gaming is traditionally, I think it's fair to say, an area that hasn't been particularly accessible for those who are blind or visually impaired. A lot of blind and visually impaired people would have participated in things like Wii Sports Bowling and all those kind of games, but realistically, any of the games that kind of, sighted counterparts might have been playing, the vast majority of them were unfortunately inaccessible. But that is starting to change. So we have invited Peter Claridge Bowler to join us on the podcast today to tell us a little bit about the world of console gaming and what's changing in that space to make things more accessible. Peter, you're very welcome to Talking Technology. How are you?
I'm very well, David. Thank you very much for having me on here today.
So, Peter, console gaming, this, as I say, traditionally a bit more of an inaccessible industry, especially when compared to mobile games and so on. But that's starting to change. And it's really different even to PC gaming, because these are games that are made for a mainstream audience, but they've got accessible experiences built on top of them. And one of the ones that you were playing, I believe, was it The Last of Us 2?
Yes, The Last of Us Part 2.
The Last of Us Part 2. So first of all, tell me about getting this game. How accessible was the experience of getting it? Did you get it on a disc, or did you download it, or how accessible was that whole experience?
I got it on a disc. I got it during the pandemic, at the height of the pandemic. So it was this, I got it through Argos, and it took a few days to get to me, but I got it eventually. So it comes in 2 discs when you're first getting it. So you just install those 2 discs, but on a moment of boot up, you are introduced automatically to a screen reader, giving you all the accessible options, all the accessibility choices from the moment go.
And does it boot automatically when you put the disc in?
It takes a few minutes to download. So what it will do, so the first disc that you install in is essentially the game program. The second disc actually runs the game.
Okay, interesting.
So
you install the game then, and what happens? You meet this screen reader type system.
Yes, you're introduced to the screen reader, and it will kind of explain what's on the screen, and you have just this plethora of a list to navigate through and adjust. So you have options for people who are totally blind, visually partially sighted, or people who have color blindness, and it's just a constant customization of accessibility tools. So, for example, for myself, I am totally blind. I need help with navigation. So it has audio navigation tools. So you press down on one of the joysticks, and it will point the camera and your character towards a sound it'll make, and you walk towards it. You just press forward until you hit the sound, and once you've reached that landmark, it'll give you saying, "You've reached this point." Kind of navigation style.
Okay.
It can tell you where the enemies are. It can tell you where loot may be, all via sound.
And are you because obviously this isn't an audio game by design. It's designed, I guess, visually first. So did you ever feel at a point that you were at a disadvantage when playing it with audio? Like, I'm thinking particularly now with enemies and stuff. Or was it a totally equal playing field, would you say?
See, that would be a really difficult question, because I don't really know. But in my experience, and I felt on par with my sighted gaming friends, I felt like I could experience exactly the same amount of dealing with enemies, dealing with puzzles, and actually, now that I bring up puzzles, my apologies, puzzles. If there was a puzzle that was too difficult for someone with a vision impairment, it would give you the option, hey, this puzzle might not be accessible for someone who's totally blind or severely sight impaired. We can skip over it for you and move on to the next section.
Interesting. And did you find was that a common occurrence across the game?
There were a handful, I'd say. There would be at least 10 or 12 different moments throughout the game where you'd have to interact with something that was a rope, or you needed to be able to see something that the audio might not give you enough feedback on. But but you can also try and do it yourself. Even if it gives you the option to skip, you still may be able to do it yourself. I mean, I knew I was able to do at least a few of the puzzles on my own, even without the assistance to skip me over it.
And did you find the experience kind of like ultimately like an audio game, because you don't have the visual reference that everyone else has? Is this as good as a fully fledged audio gaming experience, or is it even better in some ways, did you find?
I would say it's better because you're holding a controller that gives you also tactile feedback and audio feedback as well. So it gives the controller and the monitor or the sound system that you're working with, it all feeds back into giving you information. So if you have a very good set of headphones as well, you can hear the enemy's footsteps. You can kind of judge how far away they are without actually using the find enemies button or lock onto an enemy. You can kind of work it out for yourself. Or you could feel movements in, say, one of the boating sections, because there was a boating section which was really fun. But you could feel the movement, like the very gentle vibrations through the controller saying which way the boat was kind of tilting left and right. And it was a very engaging system.
Interesting. That's something that you don't generally get with your, mobile games or your PC games. That sounds like fairly advanced. And I guess that comes in many respects with this being an accessibility feature of a mainstream game rather than being a specific game for people with sight loss in some ways.
Yeah, absolutely. It was it was a very long team effort. I do know several of the consultants who worked directly with I believe it's Naughty Dog. Don't quote me on it, but whoever developed the game, they brought in a number of different visually impaired and disabled consultants to make sure it is catered as well, not just for the sighted and able-bodied community, but for the general disabled populace, for including, hard of hearing, profoundly deaf, totally blind, visually impaired, motor control issues, dexterity issues. It was all, they took examples and info and feedback from each community and did their best, and they did a really fantastic job.
And on what platform were you? Was this on PlayStation or was this Xbox?
Only available? No, it is only available on PlayStation.
Okay, interesting.
So yeah, it's a PlayStation exclusive. It works better with PlayStation 5, but it will work on a PlayStation 4. But there was actually in that same year. I'm going to slightly move on to not just The Last of Us Part 2, but then to Watch Dogs Legion, which really sadly kind of misled the VI population. My personal
this is interesting. So go for it. What did you find about that? Was this marketed as an accessible game?
Yes, it was. Yeah. It was marketed as an accessible game. In fact, the advert was audio described, and they said, it has a built-in screen reader and audio navigation, but when you go and try and set any of that up, it's not there, it's not available, and the screen reader only works on the main menus and some of the sub menus. It doesn't read any of the other texts out or any of the other information that, for example, The Last of Us did.
Okay, interesting. So is this, I guess on that note then, is this still a rarity that you would have highly accessible games? I've heard of a handful of examples like The Last of Us, and also I believe it's pronounced Forza. I think that's an Xbox game developed by Microsoft, and I've heard of some others being
there's a few
made
out
accessible there. But is it a rarity?
At the moment, yes, but it is getting better. Like accessibility features are improving each year, but it's taking a long time for those big gaming companies to say, look, there's this whole market we're actually not utilizing. And a lot of it would be down to if enough visually impaired gamers campaigned to the developers and the producers and the publishers of the games saying, look, we want to take part as well. We want to be included, and it is possible. You've seen it done now, so you can do it.
Do you think this marked a turning point for the future of accessible games on console?
It is. It's a slow turn, but yes, there is a turn. What kind of we're also fighting at the moment with particularly Sony and the PlayStation, because the PlayStation in America has a built-in screen reader that you can navigate all the menus on the device. But the moment you move over to Europe and use a European software version of it, that screen reader is not available anymore.
That's really interesting. It seems like such a small thing, but in terms of it will be easy to implement. But you'd wonder then the reasoning behind that. It seems quite interesting, doesn't it?
Yes. Well, from what I was able to kind of gather when I was talking to Sony, it is something to do with the licensing that they have with the screen reader producer.
Interesting.
So that's what I was able to gather, but don't quote me on that, because that's when I was kind of talking to them saying, hey, I was told this has a screen reader, why doesn't it have a screen reader? Kind of situation. But
so
you can get copies. You can trick the system into working. How will it say? You can just try and switch locations, and it might, I can't guarantee, but it might flip itself over to the US system if you say, oh, I'm actually in America.
Okay, well, we won't go into too much on that for legal reasons.
For legal reasons, we can't go any further.
But an interesting thing of note, though, for sure. And I guess,
yeah, absolutely.
On that note, though, like, where would you like to see this go, and where do you think it will go, and how long do you think it's going to take?
Well, we can kind of trace back that it was starting to change probably, say, 5-10 years ago when color blindness options started appearing and subtitles more and more accessible. So we are very, very slowly moving there. So I can see that a lot more games will become more accessible, or at least adapt older games into becoming more accessible, probably within the next 10 years, maybe 15 years. I know it's a long way, but we've already seen that happen with The Last of Us Part 1.
So do you think at this point of the state of play, could you recommend a PlayStation to someone who has low or no vision, or would you advise them to wait for this technology and accessibility to improve further to get to a point? Like, is this worth spending money on at this point?
At this point, on a personal matter, no. On a personal matter, no. But on a general matter, it is down to the consumer.
Sure.
If they want to try and do, because I play games that aren't accessible at all, that just I do it off sound, but I'm not very good at them. I just enjoy the audio feedback and the vibration feedback, and that's sometimes as much as someone wants. So for the stance of general populace, no, I can't recommend. But if on an individual level, it's up to you if you want to give it a try.
And I mean, look, if I guess, there are going to be a lot of people listening perhaps who, maybe a brother, sister, or a family member or a friend will have a PlayStation lying around. They might even have this game. As we said, it's a mainstream game. The Last of Us games are mainstream. So maybe have a go on someone else's. But
yes, absolutely.
it might be worth waiting a while, and hopefully this will continue to move in the right direction, I think, Peter.
Yeah, well, we are seeing it get better. From what I've been able to gather, one of the newest and biggest releases that have just come out is Jedi Survivor, and that has a little bit more extensive accessibility list going on. So that's looking, it's getting better.
Okay, good.
But it's, again, we're just seeing this slow process of it adding and adding and adding, and eventually it will get there.
Well, it looks like it's on the right trajectory, which is a really good sign, ultimately. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Peter, thank you so much. A fascinating area, especially when we see something that would traditionally not have been accessible becoming accessible. It's brilliant to see. And thank you so much for telling us a little bit more about it. And who knows, hopefully, before we know it, we might be bringing you on to tell us about some more accessible PlayStation games, because it's an area that seems to be moving very fast.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me.
Brilliant. Thank you, Peter. Now, it's an absolutely fascinating area. I must say, we recently ended up with a PlayStation 4 in the house, and I've been meaning to mess around with it and see what I can make it do. But it's never been an area that I've looked too deeply into. But who knows? I might have to try playing some of these accessible games and see what it's all like, because well, everyone else is doing it. So, if you can't beat them, you might as well join them. So who knows? We might do that some stage. But yeah, that is a really, really cool feature. Now, a little simpler, but nonetheless accessible, is the really cool world of smart speaker gaming. This is an area that, from the offset, I guess, was very accessible for people with sight loss, because ultimately it's non-visual and you're using your voice. And it seems really cool to take a look at some of these different games that are out there. I've played a few of them, but of course I'm not going to demo them. We need to get our resident smart speaker expert to demo these things. So we called on the legend that is Joe Lonigan to show us some of the cool smart speaker games that are out there. So these are some of the games that Joe showed us. So Joe, you're a smart speaker user, and it's really interesting that you can play all sorts of games on the smart speaker. We did this at Christmas going back a few years ago, but what kind of games do you play on the smart speaker? There's loads out there, isn't there?
Yeah, hi David. Yeah, I'm a smart speaker user. I have 3 different smart speakers, sometimes just for training purposes, and I mainly use the Amazon one, the Amazon Echo Dot, for personal use. That's probably the most common smart speaker out there. Lady A, some people call her. So yeah, I suppose I'll just talk about, I suppose, my top 3, and we'll take it from there. It's be up to people themselves to maybe investigate what games they would be into. So, for example, you can go into the Amazon Alexa app, and you can go to skills and go to more than skills and games, and you can peruse some of the games that are there, whether you're into music or sports or general quizzes or things like that, or even role play games. There's loads out there, and you can play against people online and stuff. So I suppose one of the most popular ones at the moment is Song Quiz, and you can say the wake word and play a song quiz. I might give an intro just to some of them, what they sound like when you open them up. So I'll say, you can say something. I changed the wake word in mine, by the way, Dave, just so I don't activate the whole world's speakers around
Sure.
the country.
That's fair enough. Good idea, Joe.
Yeah. Echo, play a song quiz.
Welcome back to Song Quiz. How many people want to play Song Quiz?
2.
Choose a pop music decade.
Echo, stop.
Thanks for stopping by.
So you get the idea.
To play again later, say, play Song Quiz.
Yeah, so you get the idea. She gives you a variety of eras, 90s or whatever you want to pick.
You should know that I'm very good at the noughties, Joe.
Yeah, well, I'll avoid playing him. That's all.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so you can play against online people, 1-on-1, or you can have a 2-player game against your friend if you're in the same room, and that kind of thing. So that can be quite fun. Eventually, if you play it so much, you'll go around the circle and you might see some of the same questions. But you do also have a paid option, which you have to be wary of. If you're not into paying for subscriptions online, don't say yes too many times. You'll end up paying a monthly subscription to some of these things. So that's something to be wary of. Another good one, then, there's a few music ones out there, but another good one in general terms would be, which is kind of amazing. It's Aquanator. It reads your mind in one way. It asks you a series of questions, and then it'll guess who you're talking about. probably a famous person, sports person. I think it's evolved onto different topics now, like music and general knowledge and stuff. I'll just play the intro to that as well. Echo, play Aquanator.
Akinator can also guess animal species, objects, concepts, movie titles. The All Themes pack allows you to play on every theme Akinator knows in your language. Would you like to learn more about it?
No.
Okay, do you want to play again?
Yes.
I can read your mind. Think of a character. I will try to guess it. Are you ready?
Echo, stop.
Thanks for playing. The Akinator knows a lot of characters, but I bet you know your music decades. Choose a decade and guess song titles or artists with Song Quiz. Want to start guessing now?
No.
No worries. Come back later to continue the fun.
And Aquanator is available on the other most common smart speaker as well, the Google
And
Home.
it's on it's on smartphones and stuff like that as well. It's across the
That's right.
board. I think it's a very popular brand. And it is scarily good.
Yeah, it's cool actually. It's very good. It's a bit of fun as well if you have a few friends around. So that's another good one as regards to smart speaker goes, because it's very it's just answer questions, ask questions, that kind of thing. So the other one then is kind of a role play game. It can be fun with kids or just if you want to mess around on your own. It's called the Magic Door, and there's a few different role play games, but this is one of the more popular ones. So I'll just play the intro to this one again. Echo, open the magic door.
Welcome back to the Dark Forest adventure.
We walk around with a candlestick and discover what is clearly a dining room. We see large windows, framed in heavy drapes. And, on the wall opposite the windows, there is a large buffet. We also find a long rectangular table with chairs in the center of the room. Maybe we should look more at these things in the room. What would you like to do now?
End game.
We could lift the cover of the cake stand. What would you like to do now?
Echo, stop.
Okay, goodbye. Try our latest adventure, the Haunted Lighthouse. To start, open the magic door, go to the sea, and follow the music.
That's really cool that they've kind of integrated stories and different environments, it sounds like, into that game. And so you can really just explore those environments, and they're very detailed by the sounds of it there, Joe.
It's actually brilliant, really, very detailed game, and you could play it for a long while, really, and you kind of direct it to go into different doors and areas, and it's good if you have if you have a good imagination. It's a really good game. So and they seem to always suggest other games and other ways of playing the game at the end, which is good as well. So
it's good because you learn about it then.
Yeah, you don't need to get bored, and you learn about it, and it gives you a good direction, you know. So they're my top three. I won't go into too many more because we're short on time. But basically, as I said, you could find a lot more about going into the app itself and go to more options and then go to skills and games. And a service user, we were hoping to get him on today, Martin Kelly, but he's busy getting ready for Wimbledon. I think he's a big player in the visually impaired tennis at the moment.
Oh, very good. Best of luck. Best of luck.
I don't think it's exactly Wimbledon, but he's really competitive, and he was too busy to come on. But he did pass on a bit of information and a couple of things he finds interesting on the smart speaker, and he said it keeps his mind smart every day. He likes to play the Daily Connection, which he tells me is very popular with the VI community. There's another one, the Daily Question and the Question of the Day. So there's Martin Kelly's. It's some feedback from a service user, Martin Kelly. He finds those ones quite good.
Absolutely. I remember going back Christmas, I would say 2 or 3 years ago, we played a game of, Deal or No Deal from the television show. You can play that on the smart speakers too, and Pointless as well. There's loads of different game shows and stuff that you can play on it, and they are really great fun to play.
Really are great fun, and your Apple smart speaker as well. You can you can say play a music quiz, and it'll use Siri shortcuts to play a music quiz from your own library. So that's it, David, on my end.
Fantastic, Joe. Thank you so much. I'll train up, and one of these days I will hopefully absolutely annihilate you in Song Quiz.
Yeah, probably, David. I'll have to keep practicing. Thanks very much, David.
Joe, thank you so much. Do you know, it's fascinating there when Joe was going through that game there with the magic door. All I can think of is Bosco going through the magic door, usually to Dublin Zoo or somewhere. It's a funny old one, but yeah, really cool to think about and to try out some of those games on the smart speaker, including Akinator, which is a terrifying little game to play. It's scarily accurate. How does it know who I'm thinking of? Anyway, that is about our lot for this edition of Talking Technology. But we don't worry, we've got loads of exciting Talking Technology episodes on the way, including on the 18th of May. Now, this is Global Accessibility Awareness Day, and it's actually on a Thursday, so you're getting an extra edition of Talking Technology, you lucky duck. So we will be announcing a lot of the new features that are coming to the MyNCBI Smart Hub. We're really looking forward to that. But I am sworn to secrecy for now. I can't tell you anything. Those are secrets, so you'll have to come back and join us for that on the 18th of May. We will also have a podcast episode coming up as well to celebrate the 1-year anniversary of IA Labs, our sister company here at the NCBI. And of course, we will be following up on the ever popular debate that is Android and iOS. Kyron and Mairead will both be back to tell us how they've got on. And who knows, will they be switching to Android forever? Oh dear, that could be a very, very interesting conversation. So do remember to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. The podcasts are available on all your favorite podcast apps and on the NCBI Labs YouTube channel. And do share it with your friends too. We'd love for you to do that, to let more people know about Talking Technology. And yeah, share it. Tell your friends. And you can always feel free to send us your feedback too. Now, if you want to get in touch with us during podcast episodes, you can always email labs@ncbi.ie, or if you want some technology support or you'd like to pass on some feedback about the podcast, you can always call the NCBI Labs Help Desk. It's 1-800-911-110. That's 1-800-911-110. That's it from us for now. Thank you so much for listening to this gaming edition of Talking Technology. So we'll leave you now to go play some games and tell us what you're playing over on social media. We look forward to hearing from you. For now, from us, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you on the 18th of May for our next episode of Talking Technology. Bye now.
Thanks for listening to the Talking Technology podcast with NCBI Labs. If you would like to support our show, you can visit donate.ncbi.ie. The NCBI Labs Talking Technology podcast is proudly sponsored by IA Labs, the market leader in the provision of digital accessibility services.